will be looking to close the door there. But Anthony Edwards and the T-Wolves, they did that on Sunday, remember? Now back in Denver, though, the Nuggets, who have the 3-1 series lead, they will try to close the door in Game 5. And, of course, speaking of Game 5s, we mentioned a busy night across the league. There's that other one with the Suns and the Clippers. We'll get to that, but we appreciate you joining us. And certainly welcome you to Playoff Central Live along with Steve Smith. I am Kelly Crawl. No lack of storylines. And all across all three of these series could come to a close tonight. So I'll tee it up to you. Where do you want to begin? What are you looking forward to most about this?
I think you said it best. When you have elimination games, you'll see the desperation of these teams, and they'll come out and play. Then you also want to see the teams that are up, see how they can handle that type of pressure, because sometimes you relax a little bit, and you don't want to relax. Anything can happen in these playoffs. So playoff basketballs, any scenarios, it's a lot of pressure, and you get a chance to see who's going to step up.
Who's going to show up under those big lights, certainly. And the status quo holds for most of these teams as far as who's available outside of the Atlanta Hawks, who will be playing tonight without their second leading scorer in Dejounte Murray. He'll be serving a one-game suspension for making contact with an official following Sunday's loss in Game 4. Here's what he had to say about the league's decision at shoot-around this morning.
I mean, it was a lot that led up to it, a lot, a lot of ignoring, a lot of, brushing me off, brushing my teammates off, just asking, questions of how we could be better. And even just with that, individual, it goes back to, San Antonio, where, I don't know why that person, treated me the way he treated me over the years. I just feel like we all should be held accountable from, players, coaches, even the referees, It shouldn't be one-sided, It should all be fair. It all should be, like I said, we all should be held accountable. It's not just the players out there. You got the coaches coaching. You got the referees reffing the game. But, at the end of the day, I'm a grown man that, I hold my own and I take full responsibility, for not being able to play, for my teammates and, the fans and just the organization in the whole.
Well, with that, we welcome in Nabil Kareem, who is following this series in the Garden tonight. Nabil, we just heard from Dejounte Murray. How about you further that discussion for us regarding his reaction and that of the teams knowing he'll be unavailable tonight?
Yeah, there was a little surprise, actually, that Dejounte Murray was talking today. We thought he might duck the media, but to his credit, again, he took full responsibility and accountability for his actions. But I thought it was really interesting that he did mention, hey, I'm taking accountability, so should the referee. He talked about that history that he has with him going back to his days in San Antonio. So you could tell there was a lot of frustration in that game, but at the end of the day, he knows he made a mistake and it's going to cost the team. Now, I asked him, what's your message to the team? Did you talk to your teammates? And he said, yeah, I did, but it was pretty simple. I told him to go out and just execute. Stay together, execute, follow the game plan. There was no rah-rah speech from Dejounte Murray. He wants him to extend this series out. Should mention, Bogdanovich going to take his place in the starting lineup tonight.
Nabil, love that update. I have to ask you a question. With no Dejounte Murray, who steps up? And most people think it's offensively when you think about Dejounte Murray. He's a two-way player. So I'm looking at on both ends of the court, who has to step up for the Hawks?
Yeah, it's a great point, Smitty. And we're just talking to Quinn Snyder a few minutes ago, and he said, listen, it's going to be tough for us on both ends of the court, and it's going to be done by a team, obviously collectively as a team. But if you want to look at one guy potentially that could stand out in this game, that's DeAndre Hunter. Last game coming off offensively, 27 points, shot the ball a lot better. And Quinn Snyder was talking to him recently about being aggressive. Go out there, get those shots, because sometimes when you're out there, you actually have the best shot on the floor, and when you pass it up, it actually makes it worse for our offense. So he wants him to go out there, be aggressive. If you go back to game 1, or I should say game 5 of the elimination series with Miami last year, he had 35 points in that game, so he's not afraid at the moment. And then defensively also, he's a long wing who can take advantage of some of these defenses, so he's going to need a big game from DeAndre Hunter on both ends of the court. But again, it's just not going to be one player. Dejounte Murray just does so much for the team, as you mentioned. So collectively, they're all going to have to step up here.
Yeah, certainly. But regardless of who is on the floor, Nabil, Boston's got to feel good about their position here. But they're also not completely satisfied, at least from what we've heard, with the way they've been playing. So what are they hoping to improve on this evening?
Yeah, for sure. Turnovers is one thing. They're averaging over 15 turnovers in this series, and that's something they want to clean up, especially to close out this series and potentially moving forward. And then also keeping Atlanta off the offensive glass here, because the Atlanta Bigs are taking advantage of plus 23 in that category over this series, getting a lot of points off the second chance points there. So those are two things that they're talking about. And then you got to think about rest as motivation here too. Close out this series, get it done with, because you know Philly's waiting. Boston wins tonight, they would start the second round on Saturday against Philadelphia. So I think that would be in the back of their mind too. Got to be the aggressor, as Joe Mazzulla was telling us before the game, not to kind of sit back and wait for things to happen.
Yeah, it gets back to Atlanta. Things could be a little interesting. Well, Nabil, we appreciate it. When we see Jared, we'll let you know who wins in best dress tonight. But you are off to a good start. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Plenty has been made, certainly to this point, about the Hawks' offense or lack thereof in this series. Now without Dejounte Murray as well. You heard him mention DeAndre Hunter, but if you're Quinn Snyder, how are you trying to piece this together so that you make this a ball game tonight?
Well, Kelly, you said it best. Everybody's going to talk about the offensive end, but if you really boil down in this series, it's been the defense or lack thereof of the Atlanta Hawks. The Boston Celtics are averaging over 120 points, shooting like 51% from the field and 42 from three. So some kind of way, whether it's schemes or just individually, guys got to get better. They are going to have to be able to slow down Boston for their offense to even have a chance, because if you keep letting them score that much, I don't know if you have enough firepower, even offensively, if guys have a great game to match what they're doing. I mean, 120-something points on 51% field goal percentage and 42 from the three-point line. They're getting what they want inside and outside. They have to take away something. I maybe even see, I'm not sure if they will, see a little zone from the Atlanta Hawks, see a little junk defense, something to try to throw the rhythm off of the Boston Celtics. And also, you can't turn it over, because if a team is shooting 51%, you don't want them to get more shots at the basket.
No,
you want to have less.
Yeah, certainly. Well, with that being said, okay, so maybe Boston sees some zone tonight. They want to get better here as they continue to see their future in the playoffs going deeper and deeper. What do you think inside that huddle they're talking about tonight as far as loose ends and making sure they're at their best?
Kelly, it's turnovers, because we talked about the numbers. Scoring the basketball, check, they're doing well. Percentages, efficient, shooting the basketball, check, well. They're looking at to win a championship.
Exactly.
We got to start playing championship basketball. They're not overlooking the Atlanta Hawks, but you can slip up and lose games if you keep turning the basketball over, because there might be a night you just don't make shots. If you have one of those nights plus turnovers, then things could be bad for the Boston Celtics. So I think for them it's going to be defense and turnovers, and that's what usually most teams harp on as trying to win a championship.
You don't say. Is that what they say? Defense
That's what they
wins
say.
championships. You would know, certainly. Well, still to come, Kevin Durant. Of course, he and his sons, you talk about championship goals, they're back at home and looking to put the finishing touches on the Clippers. LA had few answers for KD Saturday, 31. We'll be back with more coming up.
What needs to be done in that fourth quarter to limit him?
I think getting back in transition, because they're trying to play faster. He's able to attack early in transition. With our half-court defense, I thought we've been pretty solid, just loading up, trying to give him different looks.
What's going to be the ultimate deciding factor in how you guys will be able to get this win tonight?
Taking care of the basketball and rebounding the ball.
Just great points by Ty Lue, and such simple things, taking care of the basketball and rebounding. But you've got to limit the opportunities that the other team gets, particularly when you're the underdog, the undermanned teams. You can't give them more than one opportunity, and you can't give them the ball to get points out on the break. And a great start to the fourth quarter there. Into the quarter shot that Paul had to take, and Plumlee right on it.
Shot clock violation, it turns out to be. Now the feed by Plumlee, and Powell is fouled on his way to the basket by Okogie. Plumlee has given him 8 points and 6 rebounds. He's dished it 3 times. Hasn't missed, has Plumlee.